So, so today we will be starting with our new topic called as Indian Contract Act 1872. So tell me, what do you first mean by an act? So you have read this in your legal constitution. You have read about an act. So what do you mean by an act? An act simply means that it is a rules and a regulations which you have to follow. So what happens if you did not follow the rules and regulations? The government will put a fine, will put the restrictions on you if you violate those acts. So in today's class, we will be starting with your second topic of your CSCET syllabus, that is Indian Contract Act 1872. See, whenever you start with any act, whenever you start with any act, you have to first, you have to see the three things. The three things are the very important one while studying any act. So the three things are year of enactment of the act. So that is when the act has come. If you want me to write, I'll write. Wait. The first one is year of enactment of act. When does the act come into force? And the next one, second one is date on which the act was passed, or implemented, or implemented. And the third one is extension, extension of the act, extension of the act. So these are the three things which is important for you while studying any of the rule or any of the act. See, if you see this constitution, I told you that on 26th of November 1949, it was prepared. That is the year of enactment of the act. And it was implemented on 26th of January 1950. I am talking about the constitution. The constitution was implemented or adopted or passed on 26th January 1950. That is the date of which the act was passed. Now, next is extension of the act. So, what do you mean by extension of the act? So, extension of the act is nothing but what it tells. So, whether the act is applicable only for India or to whole India. So you have to see this. See, before there was something called as Article 360. I think everyone are aware of this act. I think everyone are aware of this. Sorry, not 360. Article 370. So Article 370. So what does this article tell? So Jammu and Kashmir was having a special power whether to decide to take the act or not. So it was like if any act was passed, they were having two options. It was like whether to accept the act or to make the own rule. So currently Article 370 is not there. But Indian Contract Act came on 1872. It was came on 1872. So the Article 370 was removed in the year 2019. In the year 2019. So before 2019, whatever the act that has been passed, it was except Jammu and Kashmir or also for Jammu and Kashmir that you have to see. But this Indian Contract Act, is okay. Let me show this. Can you see my screen? Okay. Extension of the Act. So the extension of the Act tells that Indian Contract Act 1872 extends to the whole of India except the state of Jammu and Kashmir. Except the state Jammu and Kashmir. Yes. So it tells that uh, the Indian Contract Act is only for India and not for Jammu and Kashmir. So now I told you that Article 370 has been removed. But this was done or prepared on 1872 and there is no modification for your syllabus or they have not been updated. So we will study what they have given in the syllabus itself. Next one. The date of commencement of the Act. So the Indian Contract Act came into force on September 1872, 1st September 1872. That is the first days of September 1872. The next one is, what do you understand by the term contract? What do you understand by the term? Hey, before going to that, one more thing I have to tell you guys. So it is, see, um, before studying any contract, first study the section 1 and section 2 because it will give you all the information on what the act it is. So if I'm talking about Indian Contract Act, section 1 and section 2 will give all the information about when it is commenced, what is the date of the extension and what is the enforcement date and what act it is all about. So it will give all the basic information about the act. So before going further, please read about the section 1 and section 2. So if you see the section 2, it will give you few terms which are used in the different aspects in the contract or any act. Okay. Now, uh, what is contract? So, contract is consisting of two essential elements. It consists of two essential elements. So, those two essential elements are agreement and legal enforceability. So, now what do you mean by an agreement? What do you mean by an agreement? Agreement is between a two people. Is between a two people. So, guys, it is a promise that is converted into a law. Okay, now I will tell you in detail about this agreement and legal enforceability. So now we will see these three aspects. See, contract is equals to agreement plus legal enforceability. Next one is agreement is equals to promise plus legal consideration. The next one is promise is equals to offer plus acceptance. See, offer also can be said as a proposal. So I will give you 30 seconds. Read all these 3 points, and we will go further. Okay, guys. Now you tell me agreement is equals to what? Promise plus legal consideration. Promise is equals to offer plus acceptance. Contract is equals to agreement plus legal enforceability. Agreement plus legal enforceability. Now we will see what is the meaning of an offer. What is the meaning of an offer? Offer means when one person is showing his willingness to do or not to do something with the motive to convince other person to take his acceptance. So let me give you an example. For example, I am selling my car. I am selling my car. I am selling my car. So I am person A. A is selling car to B. So now what is this? I am showing my willingness to sell my car to B. That is, I am telling that I am doing something. So I am doing what? I am selling my car to whom? To B. Now, at what price I am selling? I am selling at 20,000. So I am telling B that I am selling my car at 20,000 rupees and convincing B to accept my offer. So this is what the meaning of offer. This is the meaning of offer. Now guys, a person who makes the offer, is known as a offerer or proposer. A person who makes offer, is known as a offerer or proposer. Okay. Now who accepts the person who accepts the offer, who accepts my offer. If I'm giving an offer to you that I am selling my car at 20,000 and you will say, okay, I will buy the car at 20,000, then you are an accepted. Then if you accept my offer, you will become offeree or proposee. You will become offeree or proposee. So a person who makes an offer is known as an offerer or proposer, and person who accepts the offer will become a offeree or proposee. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Yes. Okay. So let's come to the agreement. Let us talk about the agreement now. See, agreement is equals to promise plus legal consideration. So now what do you mean by a consideration? See, consideration means something in return. Something in return. Let me give you an example. See, it is also said as quid pro quo. See, legal consideration is also said as quid pro quo. So let us take the example now. So now A is selling a cycle of ₹100 to B. A is selling cycle for ₹100 to Mr. B. Now, can A sell simply to B? I'm selling my cycle at ₹100. If I say something like A is selling cycle to B, then it does not make a proper sentence. So B has to accept the offer first. Now B will tell, okay, I will accept the offer and I will give you ₹100. So here B is accepting A's offer. Okay, you sell me the cycle, I will give you ₹100. Now tell me, what is the promise of A to B? What is the promise of A to B? A is promising that I will deliver your cycle. A is promising that I will deliver your cycle. Now, tell me what is the promise of B to A? So, B is promising that I will pay you 100 rupees and you give me cycle. You pay me 100 rupees for the, sorry, I will pay you 100 rupees for the cycle. So now, what does the legal consideration mean? So legal consideration means something in return. Something in return. That is, A is getting money. A is getting money by selling the cycle. By selling the cycle, he is getting the money. That is the legal consideration for A. And what is the legal consideration? What is the consideration for B? So B is getting cycle. He is getting something in return, that is cycle. That is the consideration for B. I hope you got the point. If you understood the point, chat yes in the chat box. Okay. Now let us see about the contract is equals to agreement plus legal enforceability. So legal enforceability means whenever you do some act, whenever you do some act like selling or buying, whatever it is, it should be legal. It should not be illegal. It should be legal. That's what it means. So when you are selling a car of for 100 rupees, then it should be legal. And well, like there should be an agreement. What do you mean by an agreement now? So agreement simply means that A is telling that I am selling you the car for rupees 100 and you have to give me 100 rupees when I sell you a car. So for example, today is 3rd December. So now A is saying that on 3rd December, I will sell you a car. I will sell you a car. And B has to pay me rupees 100 on the same day, on the same date of 3rd December, at the time when he gets the car delivered. So this is an agreement between the two parties. So if there is an agreement and if it is legal, then it will become what? It will become contract. It will become contract. Now when does the agreement arrive? So agreement will arrive when there is a promise between a two parties. So I told you that A is promising B that I am delivering your car and B is promising A that I am paying you 100 rupees. So it is a promise. So it should be legal consideration. So a party, both of the parties should get something in return. So A is getting money, A is getting money and B is getting cycle. So this is the legal consideration. So when there is a promise between a two party and if there is a legal consideration that if they are getting something in return, it will form what? It will form an agreement. Now what about the promise? When does the promise arrive? See, A is offering us some offer. That is, I am selling you cycle for 100 rupees. This is an offer. And B accepted the offer. So it will become a promise. It will become a promise. Okay. So now let us move on to the next one. See, legal enforceability means when a party of a contract gives the right to sue each other in case of any dispute. In case of any disputes. No. This is a legal enforceability. I told you that legal enforceability means it should be legal and it should not be illegal. So how to enforce a contract? So see, Now A said that I will sell you cycle for 100 rupees. B also accepted this offer. Now if A did not sell this cycle to B, now B can sue the A. B can sue A. If in the same way A will sell cycle to B, and if B did not pay 100 rupees, then A can sue B. That is, the two parties are giving the right to sue each other in case of any dispute. So this way the enforceability can happen. The next one is offer or proposal. Offer or proposal. So I told you offer means when a person or a party is showing his willingness to do something or to not to do something, it will become an offer. And offer is also known as an offerer or a proposer. Now, I told you that section 1 will give you a proper information about date of commencement and extension of the act. Now, section 2 will give you few terms which are used in the different aspects. Now, coming to the section 2, subsection A. Coming to the section 2, subsection A, it will give you the definition of the act. So here the section 2 subsection A is giving you the definition of this act. So let us see what it is. Section 2 subsection A of the Indian Contract Act 1872 tells that when a person signifies to another his willingness to do or to abstain from doing anything with a view of obtaining the assent of that other to such act or abstain, he is said to make an offer. Okay. So let us understand what this definition is telling. So the definition is telling that when a person signifies to another his willingness to do or abstain from doing something. So it means that, let me explain with an example. So now A is telling B that I am going to sell my car for you at 20,000 rupees. So A is showing his willingness to B to do something. Now what does mean that to do not to do something, or to abstain from doing anything? Abstain from doing anything means not to do, not to do. So what is this not to do? It means that you go to if you go to an onion vendor, a person who is selling onion, you go to him and ask him what is the rate of onion per kg. He will tell you it is 20 rupees per kg, madam. Now you will tell me, you will tell him to give at 10 rupees per kg. Now he will tell you, no ma'am, I can't give you at 10, I can't give you at 10 rupees. So this is not to do something, of not to do something. I'm sorry, I will give you another example. See, when a person signifies to another his willingness to do something, let us understand this one first. So a person A is showing his willingness to Mr. B for selling his car for rupees 20,000. So it is showing his willingness to do something. Now, abstain from doing anything with a view of obtaining the assent or the other to such an act or objection. Now I want to sell my car badly to B. So now what I will do, I will tell that I have brought it yesterday at 30,000 rupees, and today I am going to sell at 20,000 rupees. So this is not the true one. Have bought the car maybe at 10,000, but I'm selling the I brought at 30,000. So in order to get an assent or an approval or an acceptance from the B, I am telling something wrong which I have not done. So this is abstain of doing. Abstain of doing. Okay, we will move to the next one. The next one is kinds of offer. See, kinds of offer can be classified on a different basis. So let us, okay, today without wasting the time, let us start from the which we left earlier. So I think I have finished offer or proposal. We have to start with kinds of offer. We have to start with kinds of offer. Okay. So in kinds of offer, it can be classified on the basis of three types. So let us see what it is. The first one is how they are made. So it can be made either express or implied. So now what do you mean by express? See, express means when it is expressed in the words, we call it as express offer. It can be in the written form or it can be in the oral form. I can give you an offer through the written form or through oral form. So let us take an example. So let us take another example. Let us say that A is selling his laptop to B and he is sending B a mail. He is sending B a mail to accept the offer or to reject the offer. So the offer is being made through the mail. So it is in the form of written form. So it can be said as a expressed offer. Now let us come to the implied offer. So what do you mean by an implied offer? So implied offer is an offer which is made by the act. By the act. So let us take an example. For example, you're standing outside somewhere and auto rickshaw person will come to you and will ask you, ma'am, where do you want to go? Ma'am, where do you want to go? Now you will tell him, I want to go to Indira Nagar. I want to go to Indira Nagar. And he will tell, okay ma'am, come, I will drop you there. Is it in a form of written or it is in a form of a written? No. Okay. You are saying that but it is in a form of oral. Okay, it is in a form of oral, yes. But is it telling that I am giving you an offer? Is it telling you that I am giving you an offer? See, in my previous example, A is sending mail to B to accept or reject this offer to offer of laptop. Okay, but in this there is nothing like I will accept or reject. Okay, let me continue my example first, and you will get to know the answer. So the example is the auto rickshaw wala person is saying that ma'am, where do you want to go? And you will tell him that I want to go to Indiranagar. Okay, ma'am. So you will go into the auto and you will stop will come in Indiranagar and you will get down from this auto. You will get down from that auto and you will see that higher what is the amount. So it can be 50 rupees. Just an example. It is just 50 rupees and you will pay him you will pay him 50 rupees and you will take your luggage and you will go home. So in this particular example, what happening is not telling through an a written form, but here through an act, they will come to know that they have accepted my offer. See, when auto person asks you where do you want, it is an offer through that act. You will come to know that he is giving you an offer. And when you get down or when you are going into the auto man person cannot think, oh, she will give me money or not, I don't know, I will have asked her. He can't think like that. So when you get down, he will or when you are going, when you have just boarded into that auto, he will confirm that she has accepted my offer, and at the end she is going me to pay the certain money. Okay, did you get the point? I'll just erase this. Okay, let's move on to the next one. The next one is to whom they are made. See, to whom they are made, again there are two classifications. So one is general offer. See, general offer is an offer which is made to the public. Can you hear me? Made to the public at large. Can you hear me? Yes. 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 So general offer is an offer which is made to the public at large. See now, for example, let us think. I'm going for a walk, and while walking, I lost my purse. I lost my wallet, and now I will announce. I will announce with a mic in the park. What I will announce? So whoever finds my wallet, and if you give it to me, I am going to pay you. I am going to pay you rupees 500. Now I am making it. I'm making this announcement to all, to everyone. I'm not finding any particular person and pointing in to find my wallet, but I'm telling that to all of them who are there presented in the park to find my wallet. And if you give me, I'm going to give you 500 rupees. So, these kind of offer, if it is made to the public at large, it is a general offer. So now, if a person called as we will find you your wallet, and will find your wallet and it gives it to you. Then you have to pay him 500 rupees. Okay. Now let us move on to the next one. That is specific offer. So in general offer, what happened? You made an announcement to public. So here you are making an adjustment for a individual, specific individual, or you can also say as a particular person. I am making an offer to particular person. So here I lost my wallet in the park, and while walking I found one person. I will tell that person, a person who is working in a park. I will tell him, see, if I lost my purse, if you find my purse, I will give you 500 rupees. So I'm announcing only to the particular person to find my wallet. So this is this is specific offer. Okay. Now let us move on to the next one. The next one is other kinds of offer. So in other kinds of offer, you have general offer, specific counter offer, gross offer, standing offer. So I hope you are aware of the general offer, which is the same thing. Which is the same thing as this, and this is also the same thing as this. So I don't think I need to repeat this. So let me go to the counter offer. So what do you understand by the term counter offer? I have no idea. Okay, let me tell the example first. Have you ever went to a vegetable shop to purchase groceries or vegetables? You have gone to purchase vegetables. While purchasing vegetables, have you seen your mother bargaining? Your mom bargaining? So let us take the examples of onion. So onion, let us say the vegetable vendor, I will write it as VE, vegetable vendor will say that I am going to pay you at rupees 20 per kg. Now your mom got angry, not angry, but your mom says that I can't give you for 20 rupees, but I will give you 10 rupees for kg. So here your mom is bargaining, your mom is bargaining. Now if the person onion vendor accept, okay ma'am, okay, I will give you at 10 rupees per kg only. You give me 10 rupees and I will give you 10. I will give you per kg of onion. Now this is what counter offer means. When one person gives the offer and if the offer is rejecting and giving an offer to himself, see here what happened. A vegetable vendor, a vegetable vendor gave an offer to your mom, but your mom rejected that offer and she gave back an offer to vegetable vendor only. So this is known as counter offer. This is known as counter offer. Did you get the point? Now let us move on to the next point, that is cross offer. So what is cross offer? So here when two persons give same offer at the same time, we call it as cross offer. When two persons give same offer at the same time, we call it as cross offer. See for example, my internet connection is unstable. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you give me a yes if you can hear me? Yes. My voice is clear, right? There is no disturbance, right? Can you give me a yes? Okay, whenever you find my voice is not clear, just text me in the chat box. So I'll come to know and I'll see what the problem is. Okay. The next time if you feel my voice is not clear, just tell me. Tell me in the chat box. So we were talking about the gross offer. When two persons give the same offer at the same time, it will become a gross offer. See for example, they will send a mail to B stating that he wants to sell his car at 1 lakh rupees. At 1 lakh rupees. Now B will also send a mail to A stating that I want to buy your car. I want to buy your car at 1 lakh rupees. So here both the A's and B's offer is same. So it is a gross offer. Now let us go to the standing offer. The last one, that is the standing offer. So what do you understand by the standing offer? The offer which is standing by itself is a standing offer. See, in standing offer, there will be three cases. So the case number one is time to accept the offer. If there is any time that is specified to accept the offer, then it is case number 1. So let me give you an example. So I am going to sell my laptop at 50,000 rupees and I will give the offer to Miss Rekha. So I am telling Miss Rekha, hey Rekha, I am going to sell you my laptop at 50,000 rupees. And you have to reply me back in 2 days. If you did not reply me in 2 days, then this offer will get cancelled. So here I'm specifically telling that you have to reply me in 2 days. So if you not reply me in 2 days, this offer will get cancelled. So that is the case number 1. That is time. If any time is specified to accept the offer. The next is case number 2. In case number 2, if the time is not mentioned, there will be a reasonable time to accept the offer. If time is not mentioned, there will be a reasonable time to accept the offer. So now what do you mean by reasonable time? What do you mean by reasonable time? Till this time, there will be an offer. Till I make changes, you will be having a time to accept or not to accept. Now, third one, that is, okay, let me give you an example. So you go to a fabric store. So you go to a fabric store and you ask that person, what is the price of this fabric? So he tells you it is 10 rupees per meter, ma'am. It is 10 rupees per meter. So he will tell you, ma'am, whenever you come to my shop, you don't need to ask me the price for these types of fabric. You can directly tell me that I want rayon fabric. I want rayon fabric. This is just an example, and I will give you at what meter you want. I will give you that much. So the price is 10 rupees. See here, the buyer is having many time. What do you mean by many time? Is here the offer is open forever. Is offer is open forever. You can accept the offer whenever you feel that you want to buy the fabric. So it will be open for you till the offerer cancels the offer or make any changes. Then tomorrow we'll go to the shop again and you will say that I want rayon fabric. So he will give you rayon fabric on 1 meter and he will charge 20 rupees. And you will ask him, why are you charging 20 rupees? You said that 10 rupees now. But he will tell you, ma'am, the prices have been changed now. I can't sell you at 10 rupees because the prices has been changed. So I'm providing you at 20 meters. So, and there is a changes or a cancellation, then this offer cannot be made. So what is a standing offer? A standing offer is an offer which is given to a party forever. So you can accept the offer whenever you feel that you want. So this is what standing offer means. The next one is essentials of a valid offer. Let us see what are the essentials of a valid offer. So the first one is, the voice is not clear. Okay. Can you hear me now? Is it proper now? Now, can you hear me? The first one is it must be capable of creating legal relation. See, if A and B If A and B are making any offer, then there should be a legal relation between those parties. The next one, we'll move to the next one. It must be certain, definite, and not vague. So what do you mean by certain, definite, and not vague? Now A is telling that I am going to sell you the car to B. So as she said, did he tell that I'm going to sell at certain price? No. So it is uncertain. So it should not be like that. The offer should be, I'm going to sell you a car at 50,000 rupees. So here B can either accept or reject. Let us move on to the next one. It must be communicated to the offeree or FFEREE. Okay. So what does it mean by it should be communicated to the offeree? Can I tell myself that I'm making an offer? See, I'm going to make an offer of 10,000 rupees to sell this car. I have not communicated to person B. Now what will happen? The offer will not create itself. Only when I communicate to the B, the B will have an option to accept or to reject the offer, right? Only if it is communicated to the offeree, it can be said as a valid offer. See, for example, I'm going to sell my car at 10,000 rupees to B and I will tell B to reply me back at 2 days. So if you did not reply me in 2 days, then I will think that you will reject the offer. But I have not communicated that in 2 days you have to reply me. I have not communicated, but offer is thinking that it is forever and I can reply anytime. What happened now? Okay, let me give you another example. Wait. So I lost my wallet in the park and I will make a general offer that people who find my wallet, I will pay them rupees 500. I have made this at around 5 o'clock p.m. and the person outsider has come to the park at 6 o'clock or something and he finds my wallet. He finds my wallet and he will come and give me my wallet. So now I got my wallet. Now he did not ask me to pay the 500, so I did not pay it. Then he goes home. And his wife will tell him, "Oh, didn't you get 500 rupees?" "Ah, no, I did not get 500 rupees." He will say, "Why? But I have made an offer." No. Now the person will come to me and they will ask me rupees 500. I will say, "I won't give you more money." Now the person will give me a code. Now what will be the decision of the court? The court will say that, see, the offer has not communicated to offering, so it is not a valid offer and the offer has been cancelled. The offer can be accepted or rejected only if it has been communicated to the offering, or else it will not be a valid offer. So let us move on to the next one. It must be made with a view to obtain assent of the other party. I cannot simply make an offer. It should be in a view to obtain is approval. So when I'm selling my car, he has to approve it. So I have to do in a view to approve. So the next one, it can be conditional. It can be conditional in the sense means I can put a condition to the offer. See, I have gave you the example of the cycle before. A is going to sell his cycle for 100 rupees to B. and A is putting some condition. Only if you have to pay me 100 rupees when the cycle has been delivered. See here A is telling B that when the cycle has been delivered to you, you have to give me 100 rupees at that time only. So this is somewhat a condition. The next one is offer should not contain a term. Offer should not contain a term the non-compliance of which should amount to acceptance. This is the important one for you. So A is giving an offer to B to sell car for 50,000 rupees. Now A will also sell that. I will give you 2 days time. So within 2 days, you have to give me your response. You have to give me your response. So if you did not give, then I will think you have accepted. You have accepted my offer. So it cannot be like this. So if it is like this, it is not a valid offer. So I can't tell someone, if you did not accept my offer within 2 days, I will think it as you have approved. You have accepted my offer. I cannot think it like this. Now, the next one. The offer can be specific or general. So what do you mean by specific offer? When it is made to a particular person, and if it is general, if it is made in a public at a large. The next one, it can be expressed or implied. It can be either written or through a form of any act. The next one is the statement of price is not an offer. You will go to an oil shop where they are selling different types of oil, and you will ask the person to give the oil of 1 liter at 100 rupees. So now what will the person do? He don't know what type of oil you want. So what oil he will give. So this kind of an offer cannot be a valid one. So you have to ask him, give me a sunflower oil of 1 liter at 100 rupees. So this will become a valid offer. So if you did not say what type of oil you want, he is dealing different types of oil, crude oil, coconut oil, sunflower oil, olive oil, different types of oil is dealing. So you will not get your point clearly. So offer is different from a mere statement of intention, an invitation of offer, a mere communication of offer, or communication of information, casual equity, a prospectus or an advertisement. See, an offer is different from invitation. Keep in mind, an offer is different from invitation. It means that when I am telling A, I'm telling the person A that I'm thinking to sell. I'm thinking to sell my phone. So here I'm not making an offer. I'm just communicating that I'm going to sell my phone. So this cannot be an offer. So this is different from an offer. Please bear with my background voice. I'm really sorry for that. So the invitation is different from an offer. Now let us take another example. So I am telling Miss Rekha, I'm giving her invitation. See Rekha, I have a hotel. So you come to my hotel. And I will give you a menu book. You see that menu book, and whatever dishes you want from that, you tell me. and I am going to prepare those and give it to you. Now, Rekha will come to my hotel. Rekha will come to my hotel and she will order few dishes. She will order few dishes. And I will cook those dishes. I will cook those dishes and I will give her. Here, you tell me who is an offerer and who is an offering. Who is an offerer and who is an offering? So, Rekha is an offerer and I am offering because she is telling me to prepare those dishes and I am giving her. So I am getting money in return and she is getting dishes in return. Can you see my screen? Can you see my screen? Can you reply if you can see my screen? Yes. So now we will start with the acceptance. So we are done with the offer and now we will start with the acceptance. So according to section 2 subsection D of the Indian Contract Act 1872 tells that when a person to whom the proposal is made signifies his assent thereto, proposal is said to be accepted. The proposal, when accepted, becomes promise. So, in the beginning of the class, I have told you that acceptance promise is equals to offer plus acceptance. So, this is the same thing. When there is a promise and when there is a proposal or an offer, then there will be an acceptance. See, when a person to whom the proposal is made, when the person to whom the offer is made, signifies his opinion. Okay, I am going to accept your offer. I am going to accept your proposal. Then it is said to be accepted. Then the proposal, if it is accepted, it will become promise. So I can tell this as promise. Promise is equals to proposal or offer. Proposal or offer plus acceptance. Okay. Now let us move to the next one. So let us see the rules regarding valid acceptance. So if you want to accept my proposal or an offer, so what are all the rules? There are three. So the first one is acceptance can be given only by the person to whom offer is made. So now I am telling Miss Rekha, I'm going to sell my laptop at 20,000 rupees. So Rekha will be held liable to respond to either accept or to reject those offers. And not other parties like Purnima cannot reply to the offer because I have given the offer to Rekha. Rekha is the only person who is liable to give me an answer of accept. Okay. Next one is acceptance must be absolute. Acceptance must be absolute. Acceptance must be absolute and unqualified. So,
While accepting or acceptor cannot make any changes to an offer. If I am the offer saying that I am going to sell my laptop at 20,000 rupees, Rekha cannot say like you sell me your laptop for 5,000 rupees. So she can't make any changes. Next one is acceptance must be communicated. So if Rekha has accepted my offer, she has to communicate to me. See now, she will she will come to me. She will check all my things in the laptop and she will check the properties and how it works and all. And she will tell that I will tell you in 2 days and she will go. So 2 days has been over and after 2 days she has not responded anything. So now what I will do? I will sell my laptop to another party. Now after third day or fourth day she will come to me and she will tell me, I have accepted your offer that day only and I have not told you that. So now I want your laptop, give me. Now I will tell. I've already sold it to another party. Since you have not replied, I thought that you don't need and I sold it to another party. Now she will sue me in the court of law. Now what will be the response in the court? The court will tell acceptance should be communicated to the offerer or else it will be a void acceptance. So here she has not communicated that she wanted, if she needed my laptop, she would have told it to me. Since she had not told, I sold it to the other party. So acceptance should also be communicated. The next one is acceptance must be in prescribed mode. If the offerer has told her to give the acceptance in the prescribed mode, like, do you hear some disturbance in the background? Do you hear some disturbance in the background? Okay, okay, okay. I told you that acceptance must be in a prescribed mode. See, a person A is selling this laptop at selling this laptop 15,000 rupees and he is asking B to reply through email. And if our offerer is telling to reply in a prescribed mode, then the B who the acceptor should also reply in the same prescribed mail through email only. That's what it means. Okay. The next one, time. If I have mentioned any time to reply me to accept the offer in this prescribed time, then they have to accept in this prescribed time only. If I say that I'm going to sell my book at 100 rupees and you have to reply me in 2 days. Now, the B has to reply me in 2 days only. If it is like 3 days, if you reply me in 3 days, then the offer can be void. The next one is mere silence is not accepted. So now I have communicated to B saying that I am going to sell my book at ₹100. Now B has not replied anything for my offer. Now I can't simply think that B is telling me that B has accepted my proposal. I can't think like that. Acceptance by conduct or implied acceptance. So you can accept through an act or it can be in a written form. The next one is mode of revocation. So before moving to the mode of revocation, let me first tell you the meaning of revocation. Revocation means when the offer is being taken back or when the offer is being cancelled, it is known as revocation. For example, uh, if the person in the market vendor is selling onion for 20 rupees per kg and your mom asks him to sell at 10 rupees per kg. Now, the vendor will tell that, no ma'am, I can't sell you. I can't sell you at 20 per kg. Now what will happen? The offerer is taking back the offer and the offer is getting cancelled. So this is the meaning of revocation. I hope you got the point. Let me come to the mode of revocation. The first one is by notice of revocation. If the person who is giving you an offer, if he gives any notice for cancellation of the offer, then the offer can be cancelled. The next one is by lapse of time. So if the offer has scheduled that within 2 days you have to reply me, and if the person has not replied within 2 days, then again the offer will be cancelled or revoked. The next one is by non-fulfillment of condition precedent to the offer. Now let us take that example. I am having a cricket stadium, and for this cricket stadium, I am looking for the people to join. So B will come to me. B will come to me and will say that I want to join to this cricket and I want to play here. Okay, now I will tell you, if you want to join for my cricket team, so if you want to join here or you want to play, you have to take the membership of 500 rupees and then you can come here and you can practice. Now here, the condition is he has to get the membership. Here, if he did not get a membership, then the offer will get cancelled because he can't come the next day and he can't tell that I have to play it because he has not got the membership. So if there is any condition in the offer and if it is not fulfilled, then the offer will get revoked. The next one is by death or insanity. If the person who gives you an offer is been dead or if he is an unsound mind, then again the offer will be revoked. The next one is by counter offer. I told you that counter offer is when vegetable vendor does not accept your mom's bargain, then it will be a counter offer. The next one is by non-acceptance of the offer according to the prescribed or usual mode. Have told Miss Rekha to reply me through an email, and if she did not reply me through email, then if there is any non-acceptance, then again the offer will be revoked. The next one is by subsequent illegality. By subsequent, what do you mean by subsequent illegality? See, I am selling a product of A to Mr. B, and the government will announce that selling of product A is illegal. Now what happens here? What happens? This offer will automatically gets revoked or gets cancelled. Hope you got this point. The next one is, can offer be revoked after acceptance? So a vegetable vendor is selling onion at 20 rupees and my mom has said that no, I can't provide 20 rupees, I'll be providing 10 rupees. And the vegetable vendor said, okay, give me 10 rupees only. Now, after the acceptance, can the offer be revoked? Can it be changed? I've paid 10 rupees, my mom has paid 10 rupees and she bought onion. Now can the vegetable vendor come back from my mom and can he say that no, you have to pay me 20 rupees, can he say like that? No. The big no. The past cannot be changed. What has happened has already done and has already happened. It cannot be changed. So it is like gunpowder just attached to your gun. So once the bomb blast has been done, ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಮುಗೀತು. It simply means that when the acceptance of the offer is been done, you can't change, you can't alter, or you can't cancel it. The next last one is communication of offer, acceptance, and revocation. So let us first study what is the communication of the offer. Okay, first let us study about the communication of the offer. The communication of the offer is completed on the date at which the offer is received by the offeree. What does it mean? What does it mean? Read it again. Communication of offer is completed on the date at which the offer is received by the offeree. So let me give an example. So on 1st December, I am sending a post. I'm sending a post stating that I'm going to sell my laptop. I'm going to sell my laptop at 50,000 rupees. Okay. Now the post has been received. The post has been received to Mr. B on 5th of December. 5th of December. So when my question to you is, when is the communication completed to Mr. B? When is the communication completed to Mr. B? The answer is simple, that it is on 5th of December. Why? Because on 5th December, B received the information or the communication from the offerer that he is going to sell his laptop at 50k. So answer is 5th December. So let me read it again. The communication of offer is completed on the date at which the offer is received by the offerer. Okay. Now my question for you is, for me, when is the communication completed? For me, when is the communication completed? It's simply easy to understand, it is on 5th December because I'm sending it on 1st December. Isn't it? No. For me, my God, on 5th December. Why? See, like it says that the communication of an offer is completed on the day at which offer is received by the offeree. When did the offeree or a proposee receive the information or a communication? On 5th December. So on 5th December, the communication is said to be completed. I'll tell you. So communication of acceptance. So when is the communication of acceptance completed for proposal? Yes, for proposal. So the answer is, when the communication of acceptance is completed for proposal on the day at which proposer dispatches the acceptance from his side. Let us read the next one also. When is the communication of acceptance completed for proposee? The communication of acceptance is completed for proposee on the date at which the proposer receives the acceptance. Where shall I write? I'll write here only. Okay. Okay. Now, I am sending a mail on 1st December to sell my car at 1 lakh rupees. Now, B will receive the mail on, not mail, through post on 5th December. Now, on which day? So first let us see who is the proposee and who is the proposer. Can you see this? So a proposer is the one who is giving the offer, and proposee is the one who accepts the offer. Okay. Here in this example, oh my God, what happened? Okay, I will write it again. I am sending a post on 1st December to sell my car at rupees 1 lakh. And B, the person B received the information on 5th December. 5th December. So here, the person who is giving the offer is known as proposer or offerer. And the person who is accepting the offer is known as proposee or offeree. Now let us come to this meaning. The meaning tells that when the communication of acceptance is completed for proposer on the date at which proposee dispatches the acceptance from his side. So, proposee will send the information on 5th of December. Okay. So here, the date of communication for a proposer or offerer is completed on 5th December. Because the meaning tells that on the date at which proposee dispatches the acceptance from his side. So on a date of 5th December, the proposee is giving the information to A. On that day, the communication is said to be complete for me. Now coming to the next one, the communication of acceptance is said to be complete for the proposee. Actually, this is proposee. Proposee is the person B. So the communication of acceptance is said to be completed for proposee on the date at which the proposer receives the information. So on 1st December, on 7th December, I will receive the information. So for B, the communication is said to be complete on 7th December because on that day I have received the post. It is simply clear that when you send the information, for me communication will be completed. When I send the information, for you the communication will be completed. Simple. So the next one is communication of revocation. Revocation means cancellation. Okay. So when is the communication of revocation said to be completed for person revoking the offer? Who is the person revoking the offer? The person who is cancelling the offer is known as a person who is revoking the offer. Now, for him, when the communication will be completed? So for him, communication will be completed on the date at which he dispatches the revocation from his end. The communication of revocation is said to be complete for the person revoking the offer on the date at which he dispatches the revocation from his end. For example, I am telling vegetable vendor is Okay, don't know which the calendar. On 1st December, I am telling Mr. B. I'm telling Mr. B that no, I'm not going to sell. I'm not selling my car to you. So the revocation is said to be completed for whom? For the person who is revoking the offer. The person who is revoking the offer. For him, the communication will be completed on 1st December. Can you hear me now? Is it clear now? Can you give me a yes? Okay. So I was telling that for a person who is making changes or who is cancelling the offer, for him on a date when he delivers the information to the other party, on that day the communication will be completed. So for example, I am telling Mr. B that I am cancelling my offer. On 1st December, I am telling him. So on 1st December, the communication of revocation will be completed for me. Okay. The next one. When is the communication of revocation is said to be completed for the person to whom revocation is made? So I am telling Mr. B that I am cancelling my I'm cancelling my offer. So he is the person who is receiving my revocation letter. So for him, then the communication will be communicated. So for him, the communication will be communicated on the date at which the person receives his revocation. For example, I have sent my communication through email on 1st December stating that I am not going to sell my car. So the person B received my mail on 2nd December. Because of some technical issues, he received it on 2nd December. So for him, the communication will be completed on 2nd December. So it is simple, isn't it? So if I am revoking the offer, on which day I will be revoking, on that day for me communication will be complete. And you are receiving on which day you are receiving the communication, on that day the communication of revocation will be completed for you. So that's all for today. In the next class, we will start with the next one.